transfer some of that firepower that Cleveland had onto the gold Cleveland team. As we open up map number 1, Boston Burgers, Cleveland Misfires. The wait is over. Nerves are high, guns drawn. Here we go, Cleveland Misfires starting off right now with a crucial hole on a P1.
Well, I'll tell you what, Boston have not taken the bite out of this burger of the sight as they are already losing the sight. But the first one is always the bloodbath, never the one you want to get. Well, I don't want to say not gain the points, but you don't focus all too much. Your focus predominantly looks towards those spawns, and at the moment, those are actually going to be in favor of the Boston Burgers.
Yeah, Boston Burgers is going to have spawns and scraps out of that. So a lovely look into the future for the boys in green. But the question is whether or not if they can keep that momentum and keep that hold going. A battle in between the police car. Will guns will be drawn, shots will be hit. Ultimately leading at Cleveland. Showing up, showing out, and it's like taking candy from a baby. As they retake that P2 spot like it was nothing, dust off the shoulder at that. Dizzy will be able to pick one, but not before Cleveland will come in and trade him out. So time is ticking. And with 37 seconds left, yeah, there's still enough time for Boston Burgers to acclimate themselves on the point, make that break, and they do it. They do it well. But Hyper, take a look at Dapper from behind. There he goes, retaking hot dog stand for a little bit of a snack before rotating on over to P3.
Yeah, you got to start looking at P3 now. 20 seconds left. You're going to put maybe one player, two, to try and fight onto the P2 site. But the reality is P3 is where you want to be. A lockdown site that if you can just, get a nice positioning out back by the vehicles, then you're quite good. You can shoot in, defend it well, and guess what? Boston Burgers, they're wanting that early pick. They're down at the moment, and they're going to take full advantage. But meanwhile, Cleveland, matter of fact, they're going to go up through red, go from the rear, and try and claim this site from the windows and doors. And this might be a strategy that Boston might not expect, as Quinn is on point. He will fall. Now Cleveland have found the point, and they're going to say thank you so much. And what looked to be a good hold from Boston just crumbled into pieces.
Well, the ball was swinging in the favor of Boston for that setup up into the point where Dizzy lost that one-on-one against Zenny. Right after that happened, the opening was made for the rest of the boys over at Cleveland to infiltrate the point and get some much-needed time to extend their lead. But finally, as the water begins to settle, a one-on-one between Dizzy and Zenny will ensue, ultimately allowing Zenny to get the last lap, get some scraps, but not before Boston is able to take a little bit under 20 seconds of time onto that point. Now we move on over to Garage Hardpoint, and Cleveland Misfires certainly not looking to misfire their weapons as they've got themselves a decent setup out of that. But from Boxing, Furies will look to make a name for himself, get himself into the positive. He's not able to. So far, so good for the Cleveland Misfires, as Boston Burgers a testament to see if they can make a break. And in my opinion, would be a crucial point to turn the tide in this map.
Cleveland's got this locked. They've pushed the spawns for Boston over to that right side. The only way to break this at this break the P4 site is for Boston to rotate all the way round. However, Cleveland are not allowing a single player to get anywhere close, as even if they go through boxes, go through red, they try and push into garage, there is nothing that Boston can do. And still, when they try and rotate over to P5, getting underneath the bridge, guess what? Cleveland going down the middle, splitting Dizzy and Knock either side, and this is going to be Cleveland's point again.
We'll try to challenge Dapper. Dapper will say, no, know your place, and that's on the concrete. Back to the respawn screens you go. Cleveland looking to get themselves over to that 200-point mark, while Boston slowly but surely crawling their way over to the 100-point mark. The score differential is crucial to consider if you're a Boston fan, but certainly not impossible to cut. You start to wonder, Hyper, have the nerves started to set in already this early on? The boys, first time in the spotlight in this season, starting to happen, but could it slowly start to crumble? I mean, we saw errors already be made from the side of Boston. Dizzy throwing that Semtex over on boxes and nearly blowing himself in the process. Things have to change. A strategy has to shift if you're on the side of Boston. And right now, we move on over back to P1. Dizzy and his teammate over at Knock doing a decent job so far of getting themselves set up.
As a Boston boy yourself, I'm sure you're shaking, but if you are Boston Burgers, yeah, there's got to be something. And maybe Fury and Jeff have found a brief moment of excitement, a brief moment of success as they claim P1. They need to lock this down, and they have spawns on their side. Just to be clear, it's Raiden has a cruise missile in his back pocket, a 6 streak. Definitely is going to help out the Clevelands, but this is where Boston Burger find their rhythm. A team kill might have interrupted it for a brief moment, but spawns still on Boston Burger's side. And as it slows down before the next wave of attack comes in, Boston, they're saying, nah, we're getting ready for P2.
So now what Boston needs to do is cut their losses and stay put. Do not move a muscle unless you absolutely have to. Try to get those cutoffs on the side of Dapper, but he's not able to. Dapper able to pick up 2-piece on his own before eventually Jeff will answer to that. A 2-piece to his own as well. A battle will ensue. Finally, Boston will still stay with the point in hand, but a wave of Cleveland is coming through, and they look hungry as they infiltrate onto the hot dog stand, regain control onto that point, but Jeff, well, he's going to try to make a statement himself. So with a combination of Jeff and Fury, they're able to keep this point alive as Cleveland sits comfortably at the 100-point mark.
Yeah, Jeff doing a fantastic job trying to go round the outside through Zig to try and claim any lives. He does successfully find one, actually finds two, so that is great positioning for himself. But Cleveland were able to just capitalize on this. In doing so, he's also flipped the spawns. So Jeff did a double whammy job. Now Boston have P3 spawns and they're ready for it. But if you look at Quan, he's also ready. He finds one, he'll finally get taken out, and the reinforcements was not there for Cleveland. Boston have come alive, but now with Cleveland within fighting range, one good hill hold, and Cleveland can win this. Boston still trying to get out the 100-point club.
Well, the question is whether they can get out the 100-point club. I mean, Boston has been able to get themselves acclimated onto the points and get the setups, but the shots just aren't connecting. They're not doing anything they can, and my goodness gracious, the trade strategy will go through. Fury will try his heart, get taken out into the process, and Cleveland, although they've seen some resistance from the side of Boston, it don't seem to really be showing it, as they're moving mechanically nicely around the map. They're hitting their shots. The comms must be peak right now. But just as I say that, Boston Burgers all 4 off from the side of Cleveland. But the question is, Hyper, is it too little, too late? As now Boston finally will be able to get themselves to the... Never mind. I was going to say get themselves out of the 100-point club, but, well, their membership will stay intact. Not just yet will Boston be able to revoke their membership.
They need to revoke the membership soon. 4 seconds is all they need to have. Jeff on the outside will not be able to do anything. Cleveland still on point, and they can win it here as well. Boston knows this, and they need to take out Zenny. They do that. Objective 1 completed. Now they can push down the ramp, push onto Plat, try and force their way through. They're going to send Fury to go around the outside, but I think they've read this from before. Cruise missile in, hits his mark. Still 4 seconds from Boston to get out of the 100-point club, and they're stuck in there. 100-point club Boston, and Cleveland take map 1.
Boston had the setups. They had the rotations, but they just completely and utterly lacked in winning these gunfights, winning these engagements.
To map number 2, we're going to Karachi. Search and destroy. Boston Burgers versus Cleveland Misfires, and a dominant 100-point club will be won for Cleveland, as Boston Burgers will have to look at their 100-point membership and see the damage that has been done.
Well, that might be all said and done, but Zenny will make an attempt to even the lives on both sides of the spectrum, and Jeff will say, no. We are the Boston Burgers, and we will not be reflective of what just happened in the last map, as a 3v1 situation will, in fact, ensue. Fury with the bomb still tightly held in hand, and Dapper left to make a play, do something to stop the madness, but Boston Burgers will come out strong going into round number 1.
I've got a feeling that the cafe in the back is serving everything Boston and everything that can be a burger, because that was a dominant start from Boston Burger and not the type of Boston we saw 1 map ago. So going into round 2, it begs the question, have we been, misplacing their abilities?
I honestly wonder the same thing, Hyper, but you also have to take into consideration, like I said before the break had gone through, that Cleveland Misfires might have just been overconfident going into that round. I mean, it happens quite some time when you get a team like Cleveland that is able to easily wipe Boston Burger off the floor with a mop in hardpoint, allowing them to stay in the 100-point club and sort of get a little overconfident over Chaw in those gunfights. So now as the water begins to settle, the stun will be thrown in, and Jeff will be waiting on the other side. Information to be given. Across the map comes Fury. Extracurriculars will ensue, and there it is. Once again, a 3v1 situation. Now Boston coming back with a fire in their souls, and Zenny left, backed in a corner to make a decision on what he can do. It's not enough. Boston Burgers will win the second straight. Hyper, I think you might be onto something here. Boston Burgers may be back.
They may be back, but you can see a lovely angle here. Good game knowledge as well to recognize that the possibility of a rotation from the back of Cafe was going to come through, and Cleveland are now thinking to themselves, hang on a minute, we might have thrown the first round, potentially, but this second round is something that they can't throw again, and in doing so, Boston Burgers, they're happy with 2-point lead, and they're getting themselves steps closer to winning this now. The question they ask is, do we go A or do we go B? Both attempts, if I remember rightly, have both gone towards the north. We the north, we the Canadians. A. Going to A, but no, they're going to go down south.
Knock is on a streak of 3. So, yes, there's a little bit of excitement if you're a Boston Burgers fan at the thought you might have a free token of a round win with a cruise missile. But the responsibility of staying alive is overbearing. As Dapper will give a little bit of love taps from across the map, but his location will be known. He's backed into a corner just as his teammate was the last round of 3v1 situation. Now Boston Burgers will start things off yet again. Strongly, effectively, and chaotic, but organized at that, and win their third straight. Cleveland Misfires. Have they woken up? Have they smelled the coffee? What is going on?
I can tell you what, Boston are playing aggressive. They decided, you know what? Screw waiting for games. We're going hard. We're going in and doing it the way they want it to. Boston have definitely smelt the pot of coffee, and they are hyped. Whatever energy drink they're drinking as well, they've added it into the pot of coffee and drinking that as well. It's just aggressive, you know, you don't play on top of the balcony and then push into castle without the conscious, and especially carrying the bomb as well. Extra risk is gonna be put there, but I tell you what, Cleveland, they're gonna go for a quick plan. It's not gonna work it's gonna go down, but Dizzy's gonna find one, get traded out. Now Jeff is gonna bring it back into Boston's favor. Quan up top, unable to find any kills just yet, just tags and information. Bomb still in the open, and Quinn has to be taken away. Now it's ridden down low. We'll find one-on-one engagement left. No, 1v2, sorry, but Jeff will get it. 5 spree in his name, and Boston Burgers are on fire.
They're absolutely steamrolling right now through Cleveland, just as they did in the hard point. It's almost as though Cleveland had been playing well this whole time, and Boston was like, gave the controller to the older brother? I'm not exactly sure how else to summarize this absolute madness, this burst of energy and fiery passion that we've seen from the side of Boston. And the craziest thing about all of this, Hyper, in my opinion, that round that we just watched was Cleveland's best SND round so far in this series.
Ouch, when you say it like that, that hurts even more, and especially because they've still left Jeff alive. Well, actually, realistically, Jeff is the only one to die, yet he has a 5 streak to his name. This man is 1 kill away, and he wants to do everything in his power to claim it. However, going south, Fury will pick off 1, makes himself put a point on the board. You've got to be careful of knock as well on a 3 streak. Fury gets aggressive again. Boston wanting to get this job done, and they go with fire. Dapper from the balcony will pick off 1, brings it back to a 2v2, take that away, make that Fury again on fire. 3 streak keeps on going. Boston aren't giving up.
They're not giving up. They haven't given up for 5 straight rounds. We are on map point. What on earth has been ensuing from the side of Cleveland. Whatever it is needs to be fixed. And at this point in time, it looks like it's a bit too late. Now you're looking almost to the future. Now you're looking to that high-rise control. Because right now, this same Boston team is not appearing to be the same one we saw less than 45 minutes ago when they were staring down the barrels of the smirking Cleveland Misfires. 4 streak, 3 streak to the name of the Boston. Did you ever ask for a better outcome on Search and Destroy?
You cannot ask for anything more. I said the cafe was serving burgers. Well, they serve them Boston style. It's a 3v3 at the moment. Knock makes that a 2v3. And Boston again have the lead. Ridden carrying the bomb, carrying the charge. And he's gonna take it slowly. Just trying to get that information. Understand where. But that delay has allowed Knock to bring him down to Quan. Just left 1v3.
Oh my gosh!
Assassination to finish it off. Oh, brutal!
Boston Burgers, who even are you? What an insane ending to a map number 2. A 1-2 has been put in their place by Boston and remain in their place. Or will they rise up from this, shrug it off their shoulders, and continue to dominate in the respawn?
Yeah, and immediately Cleveland being given the opportunity to attack this round, and in doing so, even trades from both sides, as it will be a fair battle, but it's going to be slightly favored to Cleveland. Well, not anymore, as Boston will deny the initial first tick, and A being the choice of attack. Very common to do. It's a harder site to hold. Now, looking over to the B would be the next opportunity.
Yeah, B would be the opportunity to go to at that, but you got to take a look at Knock, who's lurking, waiting for the unlucky boy from Cleveland to jump right over them. There it is. There's a 1 kill. The ball has started to roll as Boston is up by 3 lives in the spectrum so far. Cleveland now being on the offensive, not doing too bad of a job, and at least keeping the lives even. Let me tell you, Hyper, they haven't really gotten much time onto any of the points other than that sliver of B.
Yeah, and also to add on to that, Fury being pushed up right into their spawns, and in doing so, that's delayed Cleveland a lot. 24 seconds left on the clock, and Cleveland need to get on point. Zenny will do exactly that, but the trophy does deny. Contested at this point, but he's left open for any spawn. He will fall. Now Dapper has to get on point, but there's no reinforcements to back them. Every time Cleveland steps foot, Boston has the numbers, has the army to stop them. Quan gets the kill on the heli, and still nothing Cleveland can do.
No, Boston has absolutely laid it onto them. They're giving them the business as time has started to run out. No more chances will you be given. Boston Burgers, they'll run away with that round and run away effectively. Have leading in the lives by over 10 against Cleveland. A fiery start from the side of Boston, just as we saw in the Search and Destroy with a 6-0 sweep. But, as I say, usually with control, especially with invasion, the defensive team, well, they usually have it made. So the question is whether or not if Cleveland can replicate the same thing that Boston has done. A call to action has been made to Cleveland. It's got a burger on it.
That burger, delicious as it may be, they're now attacking the Cleveland Misfires, and again, well, I say again, this time a bit more of a split strategy. Dizzy gonna say thank you, picks up 2. Fury also joining. Now they can to add them time. 2 on B, 1 on A, so it's gonna be split strategy. 3 on B, making time run a little faster than normal. First progression already done, and now they start to spread out as they need to find where's Ridden onto point, getting a little aggressive. He points 2 and says second tick is not coming in, and Ridden denies second tick and says thank you very much.
Well, let me tell you something. Boston's already doing a lot better than Cleveland Misfires did in this round. Yes, Ridden has been able to go through, get the 2 kills, and erase the time before it had been done. But Boston, at least at this point in time, has 1 tick to their name. A tick that Cleveland struggled to even get in the last round. So if we're talking about going to round 5 so far, Boston is going to be the team that's going to be on the defensive side. And just as I say that, well, A will be occupied for quite some time before Quan will jump on point. Again, the split strategy will be ensued, and into the spawns Furies goes to cause mayhem, to go on a Fury kill, hopefully for him, onto the players. All green rains into the feed right now, Hyper.
It is fully green, and if you're a Boston fan, you had the Celtics winning, now you've got the Burgers winning. They are coming with force. B completed. Now the full attention can go on to A. They're still putting players onto point 2 on there. Jeff now left alive, jumps off temporarily. He needs to find cover because Quan is just laying down hell amongst the Bostons, and Cleveland, they're struggling here. 9 lives down. They just can't get a grip with this Boston side.
No, they can't get a grip at that right now. Cleveland, they're down by almost 10 again, and this time, Hyper, they're on the defensive side. Rare is it that the offensive is able to get a tick so fast, and another one at that onto A, never mind being up by 7 lives into the process. But here's Dapper looking to make himself look a bit dapper here with a 2 streak to his name, hopefully ending all this mayhem. No, he doesn't do it. Boston will continue to reign as they take themselves over to A. Slowly but surely, a wave of green will ensue, pushing on to A, but Dapper will be left to finish the dirty deed and wipe off the green from finishing that last tick.
And I tell you what, Boston have done a fantastic job. Cleveland down to 4 lives. So they now need to be careful. Make that 2 lives as Dizzy gets 2. And now the pressure adds up more. Dapper's on point. You can see from afar, Zenny nowhere near point. He's trying to play from a distance, and instead, he's not even going to give satisfaction to any more kills.
Give a satisfaction or go out trying is the question to be asked. You can look at it in both perspectives. You can look at it as Cleveland not giving any satisfaction to the dominating force of Boston, mirroring what they did in Hardpoint. We can kind of see it as a mental sign, as a symbol of the white flag being waved. Could it be, Hyper? Not so sure. I know myself. I don't know in that situation. Again, I'm not in the seat. I'm not holding the controller. But at least my interpretation, at least if I was a Boston player, would that be Cleveland's drive and health, I guess you could say, and push comms are tainted.
Oh, very tainted if you're going to word it like that. They are not working well, and already it's pure dom from Boston. 4 streak for Fury, and he is on a tear, but finally Cleveland able to get some lives back into their favor, start the capturing progress. 2 on point on that B side, and they just need a tick, and it still gets denied by the slither of their team. Every attempt they make gets pushed off.
Like they try, it's like they get close to getting something. It's like the hopes get up, the energy starts to come, and then just like that, Boston slaps a burger right onto the point, and all of Cleveland disintegrate after that. Back to the respawn screens they go. 1v1 will ensue between Zenny and Jeff, but Ryden will pick up the kill at that and allow at least a little bit of a breath of fresh air before getting onto the point. But again, Hyper, it's like history repeating itself. Cleveland now down by 8 lives in the deficit. 30 seconds to go, not a single tick done onto point, and Boston treating this game like a pub's match.
Oh, they're treating it like it's their farming. It's like they're playing the practice arena, putting the bots out at this point. But they're going to go for one more attempt. That cruise missile says, no, you're not even going to have the attempt. 13 seconds left on the clock, and it's going to be a mad dash rush if you are Cleveland to get your foot onto point. They just need a foot. That's all they need. 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Nothing from Cleveland. Boston Burgers 3-0 them. And it begs the question, how can you go from a 100-point club loss to pure dominance?
I think maybe Boston was a little comfortable with a 100-point club, like the margaritas that they were serving there, some of the tequilas. So with that being said, hopefully the Caster's Curse doesn't kick in. I think Boston's going to close it out here.
Big prediction, and you know what? I'll back that. I think Boston will do it. I'm just putting the hypothetical out there, that possibility of hardpoint not being Boston's things, but off the get-go, looking to be continuous Boston control as they all take the initial points of the site. But of course, P1, the bloodbath, and the spawns will favor the side of the Cleveland, but finally some white in the feed in Cleveland. Well, they're not misfiring right now. Spawns in favor, P2 looking favorable for them as well.
Yeah, P2's looking pretty favorable about that, but Jeff will say, no, I'm not even going to let you get any scraps out of that. And Zenny will be completely charged at by Jeff with the Renetti. He'll say, screw this, I don't need a primary. I'll just run through, cause some havoc with a Renetti, and get on with my life as I'm finally put to rest. So an opening will be made for P2. Boston being smart not to opt to hop right onto the point right away until all the teammates have arrived and reinforcements have gone through. And just like that, the clock is ticking. Boston looking to show no sign of slowing down. 35 seconds and counting. And Cleveland left scratching their heads as they've been funneled through.
They've been funneled through one direction, and doing so, Boston are now going to surprise them round into the corner. So going through blue, the surprise kicked in, but somehow Cleveland found their way onto point. But with the surrounding of Boston, they're going to get a few. Jeff Fury going to say thank you so much. Even with a team kill, they are still going to get a few kills, but the point still remains into Cleveland's favor, and those scrap points will bring Cleveland back into play. However, looking over to P3, we're heading over to the good old bar of P3, and already there's enough green players there to say that's Boston's control.
What I was saying earlier, Hyper, it's the same thing that's been happening to Boston back in the hard point on map 1, where they're making silly mistakes. Dizzy throwing a nade at himself is happening right now onto this next hard point on a P3. I mean, now finally the waters begin to settle with Cleveland, but before, up to that point, Quan literally had just sort of missed Dizzy slide right through behind bar right in front of them. Then finally, when he realized it was already too late, Dizzy was able to pounce on him and get that kill at that. So like I said earlier, small mistakes like that can amount to great destruction if you let them get that far. So Cleveland Misfires will be able to make a break for quite some time, about 10-15 seconds or so of time will go to their name, but Boston will take it right back out of that. And on a multi-kill is Knock, as he will finally be put to rest, but not before he's gotten some damage done on a 3 streak at that. So now rotations will go through. Cleveland Misfires, so far, although they've been losing some crucial gunfights, they still are right back into this game.
They're keeping their cards close, Cleveland are. They're not giving too much away. There's still a slight lead, of course, for Boston, but in doing so, Cleveland keeps finding those mini breaks, those mini moments that can work in their favor. But now the feed will turn slightly white. Zenny will get 2 and says thank you so much. And Cleveland have just found their way onto point. Zenny on a 3-piece now, and a streak slowly coming into play. Can he make that to 6? No, gets taken out. And in doing so, the streak will reset, but Ridden will also have a streak. Again, take it away.
Listen here, Hyper. Right here, right now, might just be the first time Cleveland ever takes the lead in the past 3 maps we've played. They won't be able to. Boston will go ahead and take scraps right from Cleveland as they were staring down that lead that they so graciously lacked in Search and Destroy, so graciously lacked in Control. Just like that, a great opening has ensued. Cleveland, all 4 off from the side of Boston. They'll be stuck at the respawn screens for quite some time until the respawns will finally go through. Jeff, well, he'll be the man to do things, leading the charge, but quickly, will he be shut down from its riding? And finally, here it is, 2-1, and finally, Cleveland has taken the lead for the first time in these 3 maps. There it is, Hyper. There's the lead.
That's a long time, and Cleveland are going to be a little bit happy off it, but just as we got excited, Boston says, oh, not to just yet. Now we're going to take the lead off you. little hesitation for dramatic effect, but Boston will take the lead. But this shows that this map is being a lot more closer than we expected. Those little mistakes you've been mentioning are creeping up on Boston, and Cleveland are taking advantage. The early rotations working out well for Cleveland, but will fall as Boston will keep control over to P2. And with more players there and ready, and even some coming through connector, Boston are keeping control.
Let me tell you something right now, Hyper. Cleveland is doing exactly what you had expected them to do. They're holding their own right now against Boston. Despite the fact they got swept twice in a row, it doesn't matter. They're still in the running against Boston. And right now, well, they've made a little bit of a break for some of that time that Boston was holding so dearly to go to waste. But nonetheless, back onto the point Boston goes, and back to the kills they go, and back to the respawns Cleveland goes. That's 3 off for the side of Cleveland, and Boston looking to keep this momentum going, looking to start the Boston train. Next stop, next map win, and a series close. We'll see if Cleveland hopefully can put a stop to this madness.
They need to pull on the brakes, press the emergency alarm, and deny Boston that train, and in doing so, scraps going in favor of Cleveland. But once again, Boston ready, prepped, and ready to fight. However, there's a lot more players from Cleveland going to be pushing into the bar, but it's still going to be left Jeff alone. And he's going to keep it going. Dapper finding 2, makes the break, but the green will come back. Fury says no, he's still going, and Boston keeps the defense on P3 with just 1 player on point. Again, Dapper, once again, will push onto point, try and do some damage. A team kill, not going to help for Cleveland, and Boston keeps it alive.
They do keep it alive right now, but it's important to note that Cleveland does have spawns, like you said, in their favor. They need to hold on to these last 20 seconds to keep themselves into the running for Boston, because like I said earlier, the Boston train has been chugging on along, and a little bit of resistance from the side of Cleveland might not just be enough, as Boston will stay in the running for the lead, as 6 seconds of scraps will be awarded to the side of Cleveland. They need to capitalize on the fact that they've been winning their gunfights and the fact that their aim is there. And Quan, what a great opening for you with the Rival 9 to get something done. Yes, you'll be traded out by Fury, but that'll allow an opportunity for Zenny to step right back into your place. A necessary sacrifice for Cleveland to stay onto this point and hopefully take back the lead.
They need to find a lead. Cleveland, these are their strongest sites, P3 and P4, so they've got to capitalize here. They've done it once before, they've got to do it again, and as the time continues to tick, you can see the hope again for Cleveland to take the lead, but once again, Boston denies it, and they keep trading back and forth. When we see the rise of Boston, Cleveland come right back, and once again, Boston in the feed. Zenny takes out Knock, and Jeff returns fire with a double. Dapper takes out Jeff, and it comes to Cleveland to take the scraps. We go back to P1 for the 3rd time.
Well, another thing to remind you guys, yeah, you might be wondering, wait a minute, why have we only gone through 4 rotations? That's because that's just how 6-star is. That's exactly how the map is, and that's exactly why some players might be so confused out of that, but there's already been enough time between the update and the patch for it to allow it to go through. All it means for us is more fun to see as chaos ensues between that P4 and P1, as the point is open and looking dashingly handsome for the side of Cleveland. But no. Patience must be practiced before you do that. Allow the reinforcements to go through, set up onto the point, and get ready to defend it with your life, because Boston looking to make a break right here and get themselves into the 200-point mark, just as Cleveland is doing right here, right now. The break is going to go through. Fury's going to try his hand, but Quan will be sitting on the other side. Gun him down. And now, Boston left, scratching their heads, cutting their losses, hopefully moving themselves over to the point that they usually have good luck with, and that's P2.
Yeah, Cleveland have the lead, and now with a bit more buffer room. So Cleveland a little more excited. They've got the initial points onto P2, and they're gonna hold it as well. Is this the rise of Cleveland that we've been waiting? It's been brewing underneath, and they finally found some rhythm. They continue to get on point. Dizzy got distracted by the point and got taken out. 200 points gone into Cleveland favor. They can't win it here though, so don't get overly excited. Don't get put your bets on just yet, because we still have one more rotational point, but 30 seconds on the point remaining. Boston gonna take the point and say thank you very much. Now they can start clawing themselves back into that 200-point rhythm, but it's gonna be Quan who says no, but Knock will take him out.
Let me tell you something, Hyper. Before this map set, I had complete doubts against Cleveland, having been swept both sides, both times in the last 2 maps, 6-0, 3-0, and I had thought this would be it. Boston would close it out. The mental health was not there for Cleveland, But just as I say that, they've been able to keep this in the running, not only have the lead to their hand, but also have a P3 setup for sure. If you want to have a Cleveland Misfires team that's restored their hope, that has restored themselves in the CRL in gold mix, this would be the time to do it. Boston Burgers cannot win it on this point, but Hyper, Cleveland Misfires surely still can, and that's exactly what they're going to try to do as the push goes through. An opening has been made. 2 Dapper will sit himself onto point, get challenged in the process, and Boston Burgers will try their hardest with spawns in their hand to allow another point rotation to go through.
We're going to be going all the way down to P4 to end it all off, and it will be finished off there. Boston Burger trying to gain as much points as they can to go into the final point, but Zenny going to hop on point. 10-second scraps is going to be huge, and if you're Boston, I would want to push Zenny off the point as quickly as possible, but instead, their focus is primarily onto P4, and Cleveland are there and waiting. They've already got points. They've taken the wipe. It's going to have to be one last drive from Boston. Zenny getting up and aggressive first. Will find the kill. Keeps the deny going. But Boston are coming back. There's nothing they can do. We're going to map 5.
The Caster's Curse has been put into play, ladies and gentlemen. Cleveland Misfires has, like many other teams, has proven Scabby wrong in his prediction. My goodness. What a show. These will be leading the charge as they're on the offensive with the bomb in hand.
I know it's not your favorite map, and it's not everyone's favorite for Search and Destroy, but what a hell of a map this is as Boston immediately claims the Search and Destroy dominance that they showed. 3 of Cleveland fall down to 1, and oh, that's brutal to start things off. Get the katanas out and beat him to the floor.
Don't do it to him. They're too innocent. It's too early on, Boston. Don't get too confident. But what I can say to that, Hyper, what I can attest to Boston's confidence is the fact that 3 of those 4 kills were headshots. At that, Boston showed up to invasion, and they certainly did not show up to play. A scary round opening from the side of Cleveland, but the question is how they can adjust themselves to that. We've already seen that they can, and they can do it well after coming off 2 sweeps. Question is, as I said earlier, if they can do the same thing on a mode in which they could not even put up a round against Boston.
It's a big ask, but if you're Cleveland, you've done the believable in winning both hard points, so you've got to find some comfort there. That smoke, well, that's pretty handy. That's just allowed a good rotation for Zenny to get out, and a little surprise attack behind the ATV, and he's going to say thank you so much. As a round advantage will go to Cleveland, and just when it was all looking good, you decided to peek.
Yeah, the peak has gone through, but a 3v3 situation will ensue as a result. Quan will take a on point. Defense is gone. B remains exposed, and Knock, well, he's looking at B and thinking, oh, this is dashingly handsome. Let me get themselves onto that, but never mind. Boston will take care of the rest. The boys in green will close out round number 2, not by a bomb, but by kills. Fury, 4-1 to his name. There goes 2 kills. A dagger in the back of Cleveland.
Again, Boston are deciding that they're wanting to go aggressive with the way they play this. And this is a bigger map as well. So it's not like you can just, swing round through a technical area. No, Invasion is so open. There's not many areas that you can really hide in. Okay, you've got the small buildings, in DVD, laundry, rug, freezer, couches, all that sort of area. But reality is, it's open play. So to get that far, get that deep, and get to the bridge street, that's crazy enough.
It is crazy at that, and the question is, can the craziness keep going? If you're a Boston fan, and if you're Cleveland, you're screaming to yourself, when will it ever end? The answer is, well, I'm not sure. It could happen here, it could happen right now. Lives are even on both sides of the spectrum. Zenny will reclaim possession of the bomb. The smoke will go through as Jeff wrinkle his nose a little bit and sniff out Zenny. That'll be 1, not the second. Quan will get the trade in the process. I'd say a worthy investment if you're on Cleveland, because now you've created an opening over to that B bomb site to get the bomb planted and get it done well. Both Boston players scattered across the map, so it'll be up to Ryden to hold him off if he's not able to do it.
2v1. And now that Ryden Quan will fall. And yeah, nothing you can do about that as Knock will defuse the bomb. Boston Burger, again, that aggressive strategy working well. Playing through the smoke worked brilliantly. It was just a little hesitation that they needed. And bang, that was exactly what was needed to really upset the Cleveland Misfires.
3-0. Boston halfway through taking out Cleveland in their first games of this season, of the summer season at that. Cleveland has been in this position before, many times before, in just this series. Have they learned from it? Have they employed a strategy? Have they used the in-betweens to come up and formulate how they're going to stop the force of the Burgers from infiltrating into their kitchens? Not exactly sure how they can do it, but we've seen crazier things happen as all quiet will ensue on the Western Front. Bomb, well, looking really appealable over to that A-bomb site.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they do commit to the A, but Dapper taking down the bomb, and that's going to be critical information that a possible A push will come into play, and you can already see arrows looking down south, but with the kill of Dapper, maybe the questions start. You can see not fully committing A, hesitations will come into play. Ridden will find the kill on to Dizzy, and he says thank you very much. Now Zenny finding some pace. Cleveland, there's a hope, an opportunity. 3v1 down to Knock to keep this alive. Knock can't do it, and Cleveland gets around on the board in a search and destroy, and that will be helpful and a sigh of relief for Cleveland.
Finally, Cleveland has been able to put one on the board against Boston. You have two questions to ask. Number one, will this be the only one? Number two, is it the round you needed to get yourself comfortable, to get yourself in a position where you feel confident enough to take on Boston and beat them in search and destroy once and for all? That is a question to be answered. And as we stare down the streaks, Ryden and Zenny are the only two so far in the game with a streak to their name at that. Zenny's got one, so... and nothing too crazy for that, but Ryden can certainly use that too and make something of it within the next two rounds. Bomb carrier, 2 Dapper, will run both sides across the map. Not exactly sure where to go. Boston has done a decent job right now putting themselves out, covering both areas of the map.
Yeah, and again, they're playing very far forward. No defensive measures. We're going to play and try and catch Cleveland out off the get-go. Dizzy says thank you very much. Pushes into the building. Easy kill. Now Zenny comes out with a Rignetti. Also gets an easy kill. 2v2. And now you start to question. You start to worry. What information is there? If you're Zenny, you're pushed all the way up. You've now got good map control and an easy frag. You've got to get the bomb out. But Dizzy has rotated round to try and cover the South Street. And in doing so, that's going to be the bomb down as well. This is going to add pressure to Zenny, and Dizzy is going to defend hard. He doesn't have to move too far, or timing will favor Zenny. Just
there
a
it
little
is!
bit, and Boston will take the round. And that was all too close.
It was all too close at that. Cleveland fans might have had eyes light up a little bit as they saw the 2v1 situation ensue on paper, right? Dizzy should be taken care of, no problemo, but he came to show up to say, yes, very much so, we have a problem with that, and I'm going to fix it. As he take off two, he'll stand himself out, standout player in that round, and keeping the train going, keeping the momentum for Boston going, as now they lay 2 rounds away from completing and winning this match, this series. Cleveland now tasked with defending after an unfortunate loss.
Ooh.
We'll get things started pretty well as Zany will play like the Boston Celtics did last night and get a nice nade onto Boston.
Boston carrying on the Celtic ways as they do throw that nade long and far. That was brilliantly done. And tag down the player. Nade comes in, does the rest of the work. But in doing so, yes, a fantastic start. Not a strong end. However, Knock keeping this alive. It's a 1v1 against Zenny. Zenny has the high ground of the building, and we all know what happened when you're Anakin Skywalker and on Mustafar. But they come down to even level.
Whoa!
And Cleveland are still not done. They will not go without kicking and screaming.
He was awaited. Zenny was waited on the other side. He was pre-aimed, ADSing, everything you possibly could have done, even stair glitch in there, it looked like. And Kenny, still, I think I heard like 3 ticks there from the kill, and immediately, completely obliterates Cleveland off of that round and allows, or Boston, excuse me, off of that round and allows Cleveland to advance with yet another round win. But then again, Boston, they got 2 rounds to play with before a tie game, so at least they can sit comfortably knowing that they're still up. The question is whether or not if they will stay up. And Fury, well, he'll say, as long as I'm alive, I'll try my hardest to keep that going. So Cleveland, now 2v3 situation will ensue. And Bomb, well, it's still held tightly in the hand of Raiden.
Yeah, and you got to notice as well, Zenny's pushed right the way in. Great information for coming the latter path, but Zenny left his teammate alone. Now he's got to work all the way back. That progression that he made is going to be for nothing, and the bomb is literally being stared at by the 2 Boston boys of Jeff and Dizzy. And they're not going to take that out of their sight at all. Zenny will find one, bring it back to a 1v1. And where have we seen these 2 battle it out? Dizzy and Zenny left alone. And Zenny is going to have a bit more room to play around. Dizzy wants to keep an eye on the bomb. 23 seconds left on clock, so if you're Zenny, you've got to either engage the one-on-one fight or nab the bomb right under the nose. But down south, Dizzy is just waiting. I think Zenny's just spotted him. He's going to go for the frag instead. And has Dizzy not noticed? No, he's been caught out. Cleveland's taken it away. And they will put themselves one step closer.
That was such an interesting predicament that Cleveland, specifically Zenny, was put in. He was on a 4 streak. So the question was, do you play as conservatively as possible and allow Boston to go to match point? Or do you push yourself out there, play through, get the bomb, and risk losing your streak? Zenny, taking that high risk, resulted in the high reward of him keeping his streak, allowing the round win, and again, getting closer to tying this matchup against Boston, giving them a taste of their own medicine and clutching up the 1v2 situation. Bravo, Zenny. Now, waiting on the other side, will be he allowed to get that last kill for the Cruise? Yes, there it is! There's 1 and 2 to Zenny as he sits comfortably at 11 and 4 with the bomb site over at A being confidently defended, and Jeff scratching his head with the bomb in hand finally will put the menace to rest. The 3v2 situation will finally ensue. Cleveland, comms must be on fire after that.
Yeah, and tell you what, Nock is going to be in a bit of predicament. Not anymore. He gets himself an easy pass, and he's going to be left alone, but he's given his position away. Cleveland, all eyes looking towards not only the bomb, but onto Nock's position. 33 seconds, so there is time for Nock to make a play. He doesn't have a smoke, he only has the flash, and he knows as soon as he steps out, gunfire will come at him, and that's going to be Quinn, who's got that long sight to play with, and as soon as he gets more and more central towards A, there's going to be 2 players looking at him. Raiden is going to be waiting, and all Nock can do is just be patient. He tries to aggress. He will find one. Does he have time for the bomb? No, he has to go for the fight. He can't find the fight, and that's going to be all tied up 4-4.
Cleveland Misfires has shown up against Boston Burgers. Boston started off 3-0 against Cleveland. Mind you, they swept them the last time they encountered each other in Search and Destroy 6-0. And now, as I said earlier, a call to action has been made to Cleveland. And let me tell you, they didn't just answer that call. They delivered so far. Now tying the score up 4-4. Now Zenny, the cruise missile in his back pocket. You got to wonder. Free token to map point? We shall see.
You might even want to hold it before map point. The all question is, when do you want to use it? Oh, well, I spoke too soon. Zenny going to deploy it, get that information. No move from the control stick. And, yeah, that's a bit of a wasted cruise in my eyes.
Xbox batteries died. Not exactly sure. Game lagged. Who knows? But that's just how COD works. You got to deal with that, and you got to deal with the fact that, well, although you weren't really able to get any kills off of that cruise missile, the intelligence and the knowledge should be favoring the side of Cleveland. Nevertheless, Knock, like a sneaky snake, will sneak through, get 1 and 2 to his name as well. Bomb planter will still be held in hand with Raiden. And as that 2v3 situation ensues, 28 seconds left and counting, Raiden has got to make a move and make it quick.
Raiden looking the wrong way, will get caught out. Now it's down to Quan, all left alone, but scoreline doesn't look good for him. But he's brought himself back into a 1v1. And there is a hope, there is a dream. Has to pick up bomb. It only takes 5 seconds to plant. Immediately straight in. But you can see Dizzy, he doesn't know. He doesn't know what side to go for. And there's a lifeline for Quan. And he says, thank you so much. Back to that 1v1 situation. And Dizzy, he just has to take his time as he will get caught out. Cleveland, map point and series point.
This could be it, Hyper. This could very well be it. The cruise missile was a waste in terms of getting the kill. The rest of the teammates patted Kenny on the back.
Straight back into the game. Of course, the scoreline is 5-4 in favor of Cleveland. It is map point and series point, and immediately Boston going aggressive. Raiden going straight with the first frag. Finds the second. Could this be done within a matter of seconds? He finds 2. He's got 1 left, and just when you thought this game couldn't be over, it is soon to be, as it's knocking on Knock's door. All 3 on the north side will pressure Knock, and Cleveland will take the series.
There goes Cleveland rising up from the ashes, just as I said, Hyper. A team to be admired. A team that stared down the barrel of Boston every single round. And the last time they met on Search and Destroy.